I've built authoring tools for artists for a long time, and usually all in C++, and a tool of the depth of Blend would easily be like 3 to 5 times the size of what it is, and Blend really is only, with all the depth it has, like 600,000 lines of C# or something like that.
Wow.
Which is amazingly compact, and compactness really maps to much more agility itself. So it's really a productive platform to work on.
Excellent. I mean, that's the theme of this, is just being productive. The last question I would have is, if you look out on the landscape of the internet, it's clear that JavaScript and HTML are still, that's what people are programming to today, right? And it's like, so when you sit back and you look at the landscape, does it worry you at all? Like when the notion of like HTML5 and things like this, does that concern you? I mean, it's just like from that sort of your perspective when you look at it, that's really my question. I mean, people still love JavaScript. It's a very, very strange language. And that's why people like it, because it's so wide open as far as, it's not typed. Mm-hmm. So let's talk, it's very dynamic. Let's talk a little bit about that. How do you think? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think the thing about web developers and about web apps today that I think it really stands out, and this is true for all platforms, all tools, and pretty much all developers, is the fact that people are using a fairly heterogeneous set of technologies and tools. People are using HTML, they're using JavaScript, they're using CSS, they're using different design tools to generate graphics. They're using, almost inevitably, if they're building an app, they're using a server platform, whether it's ASP.NET or PHP or Java.
Sure.
There's typically higher level frameworks and libraries on the server side that they're using, whether it's a Twitter library or whether it's a forum plugin, or whether it's data access technology or a caching layer. They're typically using, very few people are writing raw JavaScript in the browser. They're typically using a higher level JavaScript framework. Mm-hmm. It might be jQuery, it might be ASP.NET Ajax, it might be MooTools or Dojo or Prototype or what have you. And most sites are using some type of plugin, whether mm-hmm. it's Flash or Silverlight as well. And when you look at that kind of diversity, I think one of the things that stands out is, developers aren't ever going to build, a pure one-stack solution, sure. whether it's pure Silverlight or pure Flash or pure Ajax. The reality is they're going to use the different techniques that are out there, and as long as you have a technology or framework or library that can add unique value, sort of history so far has shown people will take advantage of it.
Totally.
And that's really what we're trying to do with Silverlight. Silverlight, I always say to people, is not about replacing HTML. HTML has a unique set of characteristics and a bunch of things it's great at. And future versions of HTML will add even more capabilities to it. It's a question of sort of, okay, well, how can you add to that, and how can you basically provide an additional set of hooks or capabilities or scenarios that extend it and make it even richer? And how can you do it from a development perspective so that developers and designers can be productive with it?
Absolutely.
And I feel pretty good with Silverlight in the sense of, especially if you look just even the last 18 months where we've come from. But you look at Silverlight 3 and there's a laundry list of 100 or 150 things that you can't do with HTML4 or 5 today, or even with Flash or with other things. And as long as we keep innovating and keep adding to that list, and as our deployment numbers continue to go up, I don't think we'll have a problem in terms of adoption or deployment. The day we stop innovating, the day HTML can do everything that Silverlight has, hey, then we have a problem. But that certainly we don't have a plan to, and we're not going to, as we evolve Silverlight in the future, we're deliberately not going to sort of position it as, or try to add features that make it an HTML competitor. HTML is going to be great at certain things. We're going to continue making sure that HTML is great at certain things. It's really about, okay, well, how can you add even more capabilities? How can you go even further? And how can you do it also with a developer kind of framework and a developer platform that takes advantage of .NET, allows you to leverage your existing .NET skills if you're a .NET developer, lets you leverage that performance, and then also have great developer and design tools that can plug into that to be successful. If you do that, then that's great. And certainly from, as we think about the rest of .NET, we think about ASP.NET and the server, we think about Expression Web and the Expression Tools line, we think about VS, we're going to be embracing HTML and HTML5 as well with those products. And so it's, from a developer perspective, hopefully our overall platform and tools line gives you a pretty nice option of using all of those great technologies and giving you also some nice integration between them so that if you do choose to take advantage of all of them, it's a really nice experience.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I mean,
Cool.
that was a great answer.
Cool.
And I wasn't trying to be, hey, ask Scott a rude Q&A, but it is just something I've been thinking about lately. And so, but like we do always on Channel 9, we can't end quite yet, right? Because there's this thing, one of the things that was really interesting to me in the talk that we had prior to Mix, when it was beta version of Silverlight 3, was Silverlight out of the browser. And so, inside of my own head, I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I could basically write one Silverlight app, and it could either run in the browser as when you go to a website, or I could just have it run on my desktop. How does that work?
Well, I mean, basically, and we've done a couple things. One is, with Silverlight, we provide kind of a runtime environment for running an app.
Sure.
And so what we've done is, for the out-of-the-browser support, is we actually, from a technical perspective, we basically implement our own process host that takes advantage of the native windowing layer on the operating system, whether it's Windows or Mac. And we can basically load the Zap or the Silverlight app into. And then, and we basically then provide into the app additional object model hooks so that you can know, hey, I'm running out of the browser. You can do things like update so that if there's a new version out of your app, you can automatically pull it down and auto-update the app. We provide hooks that you can provide icons so you can integrate with the desktop or the start menu and things like that. And then we also provide some nice hooks so that you can integrate with the networking stack of the OS. So you can detect, is it wireless on or off? Does it change? And so, the nice thing from a developer perspective is we kind of shield you from a lot of the infrastructure necessary to build kind of a traditional desktop app. We instead just provide kind of this nice infrastructure. And so at the app level, basically you toggle some metadata that says, hey, I support out of the browser. You optionally give us some resource icons to use, and we kind of handle the rest.
Nice.
And then you can choose to take advantage of some of the additional APIs that we provide to light up even further. But it ends up being a pretty nice experience from a developer perspective. And the great thing from a consumer perspective is when I install one of these apps, I still have a browser-based sort of security model. And so I don't think of it as installing an app, or there's not a security dialogue that says, this thing will potentially steal all your private data and make you cry. Instead it feels much more like a favorite. And so the dialogue is, hey, do you want to save in the start menu or the desktop? Little checkbox, okay. And there's a cancel too. But it feels like saving a bookmark or a favorite as opposed to installing an app. And so that also means, I think from a consumer perspective, both for installing as well as cleaning up the app, having that kind of friction-free, no crap left behind on my system kind of model is kind of like what I want when I want to go and visit a site. I don't want to have to worry about registry entries. I don't want to have to worry about spyware. And I think that kind of capability is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be interested in.
Absolutely. I think it has a very, very bright future. And one company not to be named has proven that simple installation is a very, very good thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what people do with that.
Cool.
But hey, thank you.
Yeah,
you guys really are amazing. I wish we had more time. But I mean, 3 releases in 18 months. Come on.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Cool. Thanks
Very
a
nice.
bunch.